Blog Talk Radio.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Tim Jacquet with Apple Capital Group. Today, I'm going to talk about how to sell to the federal government. Believe it or not, the world's largest buyer of goods and services is the federal government, our U.S. government. They purchase more than $425 billion a year. The government encourages small business to bid on contracts for every need. They need everything. You name it, from pencils to pens, some copiers. You name the supply, you name the service, plumbers, electricians, manufacturers, you name it, they buy it. And they are a central part of our economy. Not to mention, you also have state, local, other municipalities, and they actually feed into the entire system of federal contracting. And but today I'm just going to talk about the federal government. And I'm going to briefly hit on local and state and school districts and other entities like that you can sell your product to. One thing I mentioned in the previous episodes, the essential things that you need to have to start for business. Number one, I mentioned, you need to have either your DBA or corporate papers file. You need an employee identification number. Remember that. You need a phone number that's in the business name so they can find you if they need to call directory assistance. You also need to have a website. And you need to have a website to have a capability statement, in which I'm going to explain the capability statement as well. And if you have those 5 essential things, with the phone number, you can use your cell number, but I wouldn't recommend using your cell number for your business. Get your business listed so people can find it. And you can have it forwarded to yourself, but kind of keep in mind, if you're going to have it forwarded to yourself, you're going to have to keep that cell neutral. You shouldn't have any music playing in the background to introduce you, some rapping or some country or whatever. You want to keep this really business professional because that's what they're going to listen to see how you operate your business. That's a first 2-second opinion who you are. So kind of keep that in mind. For small business owners, they love small business owners. And part of our government want to sell to small businesses. Small businesses technically is really under $100 million. It's not really what we think of mom and pop store at $250,000. Yeah, they want the mom and pop store, but small business in the category is $100 million and below. Those are small businesses in the eyes of the federal government. But if you really look at it, the federal government spends almost $500 billion a year. Yeah, you small potatoes or $1 million, yeah. They will deal with you, but they want to make sure that you're going to follow through the process. So today we're going to talk about understanding the government operates differently. It's not operating like a consumer, it operates as the government. Also, in number 2 goal, we're going to talk about identifying what you have the government needs. Then we're going to talk about number 3, make it easy for the government to buy from your company. Number 4, boost your odds of winning a bid. Number 5, learning from your past proposals. Okay? So let's move forward with this. And again, as your introduction, if you listen to some of the other previous episodes, how to start your business, you have that foundation already set up. And now you're ready to go into business. One thing besides getting that Dun & Bradstreet number, that DUNS number, that remember in the other episodes, you go to Dun & Bradstreet, apply for a government contract. Apply for your Dun & Bradstreet to give you 2 options. You want to pick the one that says you want to be a government contractor. They will get it to you within 24 hours because they know with their agreement with the government, they need that number in order for you to go through the government process. Also, you need to be registered in CCR.gov. So once you get your DUNS, you got to have your DUNS before you go to CCR.gov to register. Again, you must have your DUNS before you go to that point. So once you got your DUNS number, then you can go to CCR, CCR.gov. CCR.gov is called the Central Contractors Registration. It takes a few days for it to go through the entire process, but you need to register here, and you're going to need your tax ID number, and you're going to need your DUNS number, okay? They will come back with you in a couple of days with a login number, and they want you to fill out the profile, because in order for them to sell to you, you have to have that profile active. So kind of plan on a week or so to get this whole process done. CCR, again, will probably get it to you within 72 hours, but plan a week. Again, if it's over the weekend, you just need to plan for 5 days. Okay, the first goal. We know that they purchase $1 trillion a year, $500 billion a year. Assessing your company's success in this market. And again, they buy everything from supplies to services, you name it. And one thing they're going to look for, besides you being in CCR, they want to see if you have a capability statement. Capability statement tells them who you are and what you're all about. It's kind of your elevator speech, but it's easy for them to go to a capability statement and look and see who owns the company, who to contact for billing, who to contact for this and that. It gives them just an overview on what your company is all about. So the best thing when you do your capability statement, it needs to be on your website, and it needs to say company on the company profile. But I would say, don't put it on the About Us. Put a tag that says capability statement on your bar tab. You have home page, this page. Make sure it's really clearly marked, because they don't want to hunt for anything. They want to go to your website. If you're on the phone with them, they want to go straight to your capability statement. And these are the things that you really need to have in that capability statement. Number one, your complete legal name. If you have a DBA, put that there. What is your mailing address? Where is your shipping address? What are your main telephone numbers? What's your customer service numbers? They want you to also put in that line what's your DUNS numbers, what is your employer identification number, and what's your cage code. Your cage code is going to be given to you a few days after CCR process you through the system. Then you can put your website, again, say I sell, for example, let's use books. Everybody buys books, so say we are a retailer or wholesaler of books. Then put your website. Then put who the point of contacts are, who the key people for the company, who's the president, who's the vice president, who I'm going to be buying from, okay? In your company profile, say 2 sentences, what you do, what you sell. You specialize in blah, blah, blah. But also in that first opening line, you want to identify if you're a woman business or you're a minority business. So, for example, say I'm an ABC bookstore doing business as ABC Books. I'm a woman-owned minority small business enterprise based in Chicago, Illinois, for example. We specialize in all genre of general books and blah, 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 and so forth, okay? And you can list the main publishers or distributors you deal with. Then in that capability statement, you need to list, okay, I do books, I do software, I do whatever, but keep it really basic, because they see a whole list of things that you do doesn't look very good. They want to know that you can do these 3 things. If you're books, give me books and what's related to books. Maybe music, yeah, instruments, maybe, but something that's related to books. Don't give them a whole bunch of all that stuff that you sell, because then you get lost. You want to tell them when you talk to someone from the agency, you're the best book selling person there is. And if you buy from me, you're going to get great customer service, personalized services. I'm going to give you my email address. I'm going to give you my cell number. You can text me if you have any issues or you need something right away. Give me a call. I'm the one-stop shop. That's how you want to approach it with the federal government. You want to be a solution provider to them, because believe it or not, they get penalized when they don't get something bought in a timely manner. If they get an order from a department, they expect for that to get that item as soon as possible. And if it doesn't meet come in at that certain period of time, then they get in trouble. Believe it or not, they really will. They're thinking they are sleeping on the job. And you can just type in capability statements and you can take a look at a lot of people capability statements. You can go to the GSA.gov and go through some of their capability statements on their suppliers and so forth. So that's your solution provider. You want to say something about who you are, what you do, and how you can solve their problem. Also, you're going to need to go to NAICS, NAICS codes. It's very important because this is how they will identify you within their system. And as part of the U.S. Census Bureau, NAICS, if you say NAICS codes, okay? This means North American Industry Classification System. And they classify, hey, everything is listed under this. The government is very anal. It has to fit in this box, and everything, if it's books, for example, is 45, 12, 11. Also, books is 51, 11, 30. Books is also 32, 31, 17. Okay? If you do computer software part of your books, NAICS code is 44, 31, 20 and 42, 34, 30. Okay? When you go to this website for the Census Bureau, you can do www.census.gov/EOS/WWW/NAICS/. And you just put in the description and like books or whatever, and they will tell you what it is. And you can search for this on the website. It's really easy. Also, you want to say who your key personnel are. You know, if they graduated from college, do they have certain certifications? What made them an expert in this particular field? How long have they been in this field? Also, you want to have any corporate designations. Okay, if you are listed as are you a woman-owned business, or are you a minority business, or are you this and that? Also, you want to say that you're located in CCR, so they can find you there. And if you go to CCR, they're going to make you also go to the small business website to register, and also ORCA registration as well. CCR will guide you through that process. Also, if you have any non-federal corporate designations, if you listed in your state or you're listed as a minority business, council, district, one of those, list that because that gives you credibility as well, that you know what you're doing. So that's a capability statement. You're going to need that from the beginning in order to deal with a lot of these buying officers. Some of them are just regular civilians. Some of them are actually military officers as well. So they're human. But believe it or not, if they like you, they will buy from you. They will give you the whole base. Just be nice to them. You know, talk about everything. You're a veteran or whatever. You know, just they will love veterans. They will love everything about you. But just make yourself personal to them. They're a lot easier to deal with than going to a corporation. Corporation, yeah, they have some restrictions. They really don't care, but they actually have guidelines they need to meet. They need to make sure these contracts, some of them are allocated for women. They need to make sure they meet that goal there. Minorities, hub zone, you name it, they need to make sure they meet those particular guidelines. So just kind of keep in mind that they have a quota that they need to meet, and when they make purchase order, they need to make sure that within that purchase order that they are able to capture certain minority or women-owned businesses in that as they do their reporting for the fiscal year. The government fiscal year runs October 1 to September 30th. October 1 is pretty slow. They're just getting out of closing the year, but they're buying things throughout the year. But also in September, a month ahead of time, they actually will do a forecast for that agency, what they're going to buy for the whole year. And by the time they get to July, August, and September, they are buying a storm. They open the floodgates because the federal government doesn't work like a business. The money just goes from one account to the other, meaning if you have budgeted $100,000 of IT equipment, you can roll that $100,000 into the next fiscal year or calendar year. Federal government doesn't work that way. Once they allocate these funds for that year, and at the end of that fiscal year, it dies. That means they lose the money. That means there's no money to give. It doesn't roll over. So midnight, it stops. It will stop. It will not roll over. If they have 5,000 in the kitty, it's still there. They really want to get rid of it because what happened is that means you really didn't need it, if that makes sense. So if you ask your agency asked for $100,000 for textbooks, you didn't use it, then they subject to the powers to be will probably reduce it. Say you didn't use it last year, so why would I give you $100,000 this year? I'm going to give you $75,000. That teaches them to make sure they spend every single dollar within that budget because they're not getting it back. Can you imagine if you work for a company, a nonprofit, and you had this money available and they said if you don't use it, you lose it. So keep in mind, if you don't use it, you lose it. Assessing that your company can succeed in this market. If you're a provider of products, it's a lot easier than services. Services is going to be more technical oriented, and you're really going to have to watch things carefully and build a good relationship because you can control a product, you might can control a service unless you have something they really need, right away, a plumber, you name it. Now, you have government employees who do a certain function, but it's expensive to have a government employee do every single thing. Same thing, you have the military. The military does the same thing, but the military can't train a civilian job like for a musician. They can't train a musician, so they have to contract that. So that's a good service. If you want to go into a base and be a musician and play for their services, it's been on all the contracts. And those are posted on federal bid laws where we'll go towards the end. So kind of keep that in mind that certain civilian jobs they can't train for. It just costs too much for them to train for. So they will make that service available. Also, to technical things like plumbing, electrical, those things, those specs will be online, and you can talk to a contract officer to work those out as well. So make sure you have a product that's available, and all you have to do is get on the phone. Get on the phone and call, email. Just break through the doors. I mean, they're really not difficult to reach. You can reach them. They will answer their phone. So if I go to www.fedbizops, and they will have all information on federal contracting. Or you just go to fbo.gov. I'm sorry about that. I didn't think of the long version. Just go to fbo.gov, and when you go to federal, which is federalbidsops.gov, you can type that, or you do fbo.gov. You see posting for the last up to 90 days. You can go to a whole year, look at historical, what they've done. They have thousands of opportunities a day. Today they have over 16,500 opportunities available to bid on. And they'll fluctuate throughout the year, and towards the end you see 100,000. And then you can go to what state. If you're in the local state, if you, for example, I'm not going to use DC, let's use Kansas City. Okay? If you're in Kansas City, I would say reach out to the contract officers in Kansas City, the state of Kansas City. You don't have to go all over. They like people that's locals, so they can, get their products faster. They like dealing with local people. So if I go to Kansas City, I'm going to, let's see, Missouri, okay? Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City, Kansas too. So I would say do both if you're in Kansas City, since your city splits in between Kansas and Missouri. Most of you in Missouri. Then let's say I'm going to have a drop-down type option. You can do a pre-solicitation, which means they are putting an offer out, but they haven't finalized the details. They just wanted to see if there's anybody who's going to respond to it. Then there is a combined solicitation synopsis. Right there is what the solicitation is, and you can bid on the contract from there. Sources thought they're trying to put a solicitation together, and they will send some information out. They're looking for experts. And if you get them at that right point, you can get them to actually write the whole deal. You can help them to write the entire plan. I've done that several times with a lot of contract officers with IT and some other specialty items, and you're instrumental in writing the plan because you're the expert. You're the expert. They went to me as an expert for this particular thing. I wrote it, helped them write it, and I bid on it. Again, I had to compete with it, and at least I had an inside approach on what's in the plan. Okay. So, and then they have modifications, meaning if they modified, something was missing, whatever, they had the right to modify or amend it, and so forth. And also, you can look for award to see historical information on who actually got what. And all the agencies are listed. Everything over 25,000 has to be listed within the system anyway. You have to get bids for, and I will go in detail step by step in future episodes. But not tonight. It's more of an introduction of. Okay. Again, assess whether your company can succeed in the marketplace. If you manufacture your own products, it's a lot easier because you have control of the cost. But I would say, for example, if you have a product like books and you have all these suppliers, you can get with my company. We can set you a line of credit or do a factoring account for you. We'll send a purchase order to the supplier and get them. Once you give us the order, we can get them a purchase order and ship it to you. And you can invoice the government right away and send them the product. And we pay you anywhere between 70 and 90%. And you have your money up front. You can pay off your supplier and pay your employees while you're waiting for this invoice to pay. And the difference is we will just go ahead and send you the balance when the other 30% or 20% will be held in escrow until when the invoice pays. So you want to be an expert in this field. You want to know what you're talking about. You're a bookseller. You want to tell them, I've been in books for 20 years, so it's a teenager, whatever. You're the expert. That's what they're looking for, experts. Because they want to make sure the person is able to fulfill the bid. And again, now I'll talk about microloans later, but again, you just want to build a relationship with an officer. Now, I'll tell you what, if you email me, if you listen to this episode, if you email me at info@applecapital.com, again, info@applecapitalgroup.com, put in the subject line, free mailing list, I will send you a mailing list of over 1,000 contacts of agency buying officers. So that's going to give you a little incentive. Again, email that to me. I will send you a list free of charge that will cost you thousands to have. We already keep up with a lot of these officers because we deal with them on a daily basis, and we can let you know based on a few months ago who's in what office and who you need to contact in order to sell that product. With their email, with their phone number, with their address, I'll give that to you free of charge. Okay, number 2, know the customer. Identify what you have that the government needs, okay? If you offer supply, you offer supply. You books, you books, okay? Real simple. What happens is if it's over 25,000, it's a competitive bid, and they have to do a whole process. Other than that, it's just a micro purchase, and if they have a comfortable phone bids over the phone, if they like you, they'll buy it from you. That is that simple. They'll place an order with you for $1,000 or $5,000. It's no big deal with them, okay? They all have government credit cards, which don't have a credit limit. Government credit cards don't have a limit, believe it or not. They can buy what they want. They're just going to make sure they justify it. Also, if you want to dig deeper, you can go to on the competitive bid, but be real careful. I wouldn't use my name. I would use some other company because as one officer, don't like somebody to call up in the past if you want to find something about a previous bid and you want the details and you pull out that Freedom of Information Act card on them. Don't use your company name. Don't use your name, okay? Please don't, because they get ugly. That makes them got to go do more work, go through channels, pull this out for you. Sometimes they're willing to give it to you right away. Sometimes they're not. So you're giving them more work to do. On their desk, they have all of these requisitions that they have to get filled. They don't want to deal with that. So that's like, I got to deal with a hard copy. That don't mean they have to actually deal with a scan copy in the system. Maybe in the future they will. Right now, they got to dig for that physical copy for their original signature. Okay? And you dealing with a lot of documents, whoever bids for that particular project. Make it easy for the government to buy from your company. Okay, you must have a credit card account with Visa, MasterCard, with American Express, with Discover. You need to have that. Okay, that's part of being in business today. The 21st century, you need to establish your merchant credit card account. A must. You can contact us. We can set you up for free of charge. But you've got to have a credit card account. So I say, okay, Mr. Customer, I need this particular book. Do you have it in stock? So, well, let me get back with you. Let me see if you check on the availability. You call your publisher. And when you call your publisher, ABC publisher, say, yes, I have. How many you have? Okay. What is wholesale? How much you going to discount on volume? Blah, blah, blah. Then you go to your customer, back to the agency. Yes, I have this book. How many? You're going to ask them, just confirm. You need 100? You need 200? Yes, I need 200. What is the cost? Well, the book listed for $19.95. Tell you what, since you're your first order with us, we can give you a 20% discount. You say, I got 20%. Well, we can give you 25%. If it's meaning that you don't have a 5% margin, as long as you cover your finance costs or, make a little profit, say, make your little profit. But if that's the way for you to get this account and make him happy and deal business with him in the future, take it. Don't take a loss and tell him, hey, look, I'm going to be taking a loss if we do this. Can you cut me a break? We keep it at maybe like 22% or something? And that gives me like a 7% spread to pay for my overhead. And he might agree to that, okay? So again, you need to have your merchant credit card set up and be able to make purchases. And they'll give you a credit card and they'll purchase it right there on the spot. Also prepare to furnish price list or products and service lists, just in case they need to have that. Again, make sure you're registered in CCR. Make sure you have your DUNS number and you're in the database. And also, we're talking about the GSA contracts, which is later. Get in front of decision makers. I will give that list to you for free, so you can get in front of these decision makers. And that is a huge value. Huge value. Take me up on this offer. If I want to give you that list of contacts of a federal agency buying officer who's making the decision, who's buying things, take me up on it, okay? Okay? And I'll give you until the end of better yet, I'm not going to put a limit on it. If you do the courtesy of emailing me for that information, I'll give that to you. Just Google Plus us, recommend them to come to our website, come to our broadcast. Just do, say Twitter us, do us a little favor like that. Okay. Boosting your odds is really a personal relationship with that buying officer. They're people, they have families. They might talk about a half hour about their whole life. Listen to it. They talk about their dog. I tell you, dog stories, you will win every single time. People love dog stories. They can talk about their dog, they talk about their cat. If you're in the military and you reach one of these military officers, I like you. You're in the Marine, hey, I'm buying from you. So if you were in the Marine, but your brother was, talk to your brother. Say, hey, can you talk to this person? Hey, he's my partner. Make your brother a partner in your company in order for you to get the federal contracts and, work out some agreement that way. But it's all about being personable with that person. They are people. Keep in mind, they're people. They're human, but they're easy to deal with. They're not difficult. They only would give you a hard time because they have guidelines they have to meet and requirements they have to meet. So just kind of keep that in mind. That's the only time they're going to be really difficult. And sometimes you might get a difficult person. Request a debriefing if you lose the bid. Ask them why did I lose? Why? If I'm too small or whatever, talk to them. That's all you have to do is talk to them. They'll tell you, we've been dealing with this or that. They'll be honest with you to a certain, unless they can't say certain things. So ask them, why didn't I get this? And they'll tell you. They might put it in an official capacity. Say, hey, you don't have to give it to me official. Just tell me what it is. I'm not gonna hold it against you. I want your business. I just want to be able to do better when we next time around. Make sure you have your 30-second speech or 15-second speech to tell them about your company if you called a officer on the phone. A couple of sites you might want to visit besides FBO.gov to look for opportunities. Also, FedVendor.com is another place you can look for opportunities in certain categories. Find RFP.com. FedBid, you want to register. These are free sites. You can look for opportunities. I know Fed RFP is a 7-day trial. Fed Vendor is maybe a 21-day trial. FedBid is free, but FedBid is kind of an unusual situation. It's an auction. So in an auction, you're bidding down on price. So if someone bid, if this product is $10, someone come back in, hey, I sell it to you for $9.75. Someone else can come in, I sell it to you for $9.60. It goes like that. And FedBid, MakeTheirMoney.com on fees that's attached after that bidding process. So if they got down that product was originally $10, now that product is down to $7, then they're going to add their fee onto that, which the government already agreed to pay in advance. But it's just a clearinghouse for the government to try to get a lot of solicitation offers off their table in a quick and fast way. And it is a bid process, so it meets the guidelines on that as well. Also, you want to look at certification, and then I'm going to talk about federal and local municipalities you can bid on as well. Certification is really, really important if you're a minority business. I would say go to the SBA, SBA.gov. It will go in great detail about the SD, for example, on the small business certification, woman-owned business. There are a few programs, which is the 8A/SDB, means small disadvantaged business. There's an 8A if you're woman-owned or you're a minority. Small disadvantaged business is mean you're disadvantaged where particular, you're not the majority, you're not a woman-owned, you're not a minority, however you feel in this category, but you're disadvantaged, you can claim that's been a disadvantage. You're handicapped. So if you're for example, a Caucasian male, however you're handicapped, you can apply as a small disadvantaged business, for example. Okay, but you got to make sure you prove it. Hub zones are areas that Congress wants money to go to, and they will give you a special consideration for contracts because they need to meet certain guidelines. So downtown districts are always a hub zone. Some farming communities, low-income places, a hub zone because they were trying to get these people employed. So kind of keep an idea on that. If you stay in a hub zone, just look at hubzone.gov and they look and see if your zip code falls into that so they can give you an advantage as well. And if you A certification, takes usually 90 days to 6 months. There's a lot of paperwork involved, but just do it. That gives you an advantage. And your GSA contract, which we'll spend a whole program on GSA later, that puts you in a different category. So I'm going to say if you GSA, you company of worth alone is worth $250,000 because you can get certain contracts without a problem because those contracts are already negotiated ahead of time, the pricing is. And if you GSA, you have no problem whatsoever in getting a contract. So anyway, I'll talk about that process in a later episode. On the back to certification, it's in your best interest to get certified. Get certified, get certified, get certified. I can't say that strongly enough because you will make a lot more money being certified than versus not being certified. So get yourself certified as a hub zone if you stay in a disadvantaged community. Get certified also as an 8A, the letter 8, the number 8A. And if you can also be small disadvantaged business, FDB, if you have some type of disadvantage being the business owner, the handicap, whatever, you can write a statement that makes sense to the SBA. They probably give you that classification. But if you're a minority, if you're a woman, you can automatically, if you apply, you would get 8A and SDB as well, small business development, meaning disadvantaged business as well, certification at the same time. Also, the Department of Transportation has a certification as well. Just go to the Department of Transportation and get their certification. So they give you another advantage. Also, the local and state agencies have certain certifications you might want to be aware of. But one good point I'm going to have in a later show, you can look in the future, probably another week or so. I will have somebody from the Houston and the Dallas-Fort Worth Small Business Development Council on the show to talk about their certification process, and that will give you an advantage when you're dealing with federal contracts and dealing with companies, because then when they do the reports, they can see that these monies went here. But I'll have that on a later episode. Again, it's called the Council for Minority Suppliers Development Councils. and they're located in almost every state. So I'm going to Google this real quick. I'm sorry. Someone just handed me something kind of distracted me. So they call it Minority Suppliers Council, Development Council, and they have a national website, which is N as in Nancy, M as in Mary, S as in Sam, D as in dog, C as in cat.org. And they call it the National Minority Supplier Development Council. Then you can type in your location, and they will give you information about the local office you can apply to, the local region office, or for the state, or for the city. For example, Houston has the Houston Minority Business Council. You can apply with them. It usually takes 60 days to get approved. But they have all over. I'm just looking at their website. They have Alabama, Arizona, Kentucky, Ohio, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Texas, of course, Louisiana, Maryland, Arkansas, Michigan, Puerto Rico, Tennessee, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, North Carolina, Minnesota, California, Missouri, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Georgia, North Carolina, upstate New York, to name a few. And just go to those local areas, and they will give you the contacts, who to contact for those, and that will help you as well. Also, for example, if you stay in a port area like Maryland or the coast of Florida, coast of New York, or Texas, or Louisiana, they have port municipal districts. You can apply for a certification with them. The transportation office in the local city like DART, or they have Metro, the bus line, they have their own certification process. Also, the city have their own certification process, apply for them. The county will recognize what the state have used in usual cases. Once you get certified by one, you can get certified by another pretty quickly. Just include your certificate with it. But I would say, you will have to pay for the National Minority Supplier Council, one of their district, but usually it's maybe $100, maybe $200 or $300. Pay for it, and then when you get to renew, it's usually half of that. Just pay for it, and just say, this is what I have. And believe it or not, once you certify with one, it's easy to get certified with the others. You don't have to go through a whole bunch of loops to get certified. And that will give you preferential treatment in order to get you to be able to do business with them. Again, once you're certified, then just go out to them, say, I'm certified, hey, this is my product, whatever it is, and say, hey, how can I be in business with you? I'm a good guy, I deliver on time, I believe in good customer service, and do what you can do, to win them over. They're not really difficult. Again, they're government employees. And there's nothing taken for government employees, but they're a lot easier maybe to deal with than dealing with commercial businesses. Also, with that business council, they will give you contacts on businesses and give you insight of buyers with like Exxon or Shell or whatever to buy from. So kind of recap. Again, this is kind of an introduction of a show to tell you how to sell to the government. I know it's pretty long, 45 minutes. But however, I think I gave you some good, valuable information to get started. We will break these things down. We'll probably do an episode on capability statements, how to write them. We will do an episode of fellow buyers. We will do an episode of with a buyer online. We deal with the Minority Business Council, how to do with a GSA. We'll talk about how to do your certification with HUD and so forth. So again, we just want to give you this information. We're not charging for it. We just ask you just to talk about it. Hey, this is something that they have. You can find this broadcast on iTunes. You can find this on Podfeed, Podnet. You can also go to our website at www.applecapitalgroup.com if you need any information about financing. Our blog is blog.applecapitalgroup. We just published our 100th article about a week ago. And this is probably our 10th broadcast of the year on Blogcast Radio. And we're really committed to getting this done. Again, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. My name is Timothy Jacquet. I am the Senior Vice President. I am over syndication, also for business development. And if you have any questions or any comments, please reach out to me. I will respond to you and give me a call. 866-611-7457. Again, 611-7457. Glad to answer any questions, or you can just email me at info@applecapitalgroup.com. We just ask you that if you can share this information with a friend of yours, or if you just want to find more information out, I would just say share the information to friends or family or people who are interested in being in business. Thank you for joining the program again. This is Tim Jacquet with Apple Capital Group. Have a great day.